Old Egypt sarcophagus are a fascination for me, each one as individual as the next. Fourth dynasty sharing there something unique, and they enjoyed the palace facade which can be seen upon theirs. Wandering around the tombs and mastabas of Egypt as I was on this day, aided greatly by that brilliant sovereign Egyptologist in use of R1, greatly helping us there. A cooperation, a sharing together of two sovereign nations from far across the world, from the sovereign United Nations of Australia, along with those, the sovereign tribes of Egypt, holders of knowledge in Giza. On this day, gifted the opportunity, we are observing from the mastaba of Meris-Ankh, daughter of Khufu Meritites Henetsen and her husband Ankaf. Seconds in, and I noticed something there. I've seen this facade image before.
So here we find the title very similar to what we find in the tomb of Khufu, which we know that when they are doing it with colors like that, it was in order to be carved. Salisut, the daughter of the king, Neretef, also from his own body. Hamid Nisu, the wife of the king, and then her name, Meris Ankh.
Yeah, okay.
So these are her titles, and this is her name.
Girl.
Huh? Yeah, Sa.
Oh, girl.
Sa Nisu, the daughter.
What it was I'd noticed there, all else walked past, was of course the sarcophagus of Meris-Ankh herself, one I was familiar with. It would take a journey into Cairo to find there this artefact remaining. The Cairo Museum holding a great many 4th dynasty artefacts. Harder to get me out of there than it was any mastaba. Whilst there, observing, able to confirm for myself that the sarcophagus seen imaged within Giza's mastabas weren't just ceremonial, they were actual copies of sarcophagus that do exist, leading me to wonder of the one scene depicted here, the Dream Stella between the paws of the Sphinx, an artefact easily demonstrated today as being most wrongly attested by Champollion as the work of Tutmosis, a ruler that wouldn't live for yet another 1200 years. Today, in the 21st century, carrying a much greater understanding of Old Egypt, seeing their ideals such as the mistress of the sycamore forest, of Tampus, King Menkaure, there in the great build of the Great Pyramids, of Ankaf. Only recently arriving out from the dark in his find through the Mehe papyrus of the captain's ship's log in the Khufu harbour. Also mentioned the great and famous Meritites of 4th dynasty family. Meritites, Henetsen, Meju, Khufu. We can all know again today. Clear 4th dynasty concepts and ideals that wouldn't yet be known for another 200 years since Champollion's failed translation. More informed than Champollion ever could be in his day. The sarcophagus seen there upon the Dream Stella, catching my attention. In my holding ancient knowledge, shared out from the sacred Bambara forest in Australia upon Garingi lands, opening up every window in the house of fourth dynasty. Then logic should display the same sarcophagus, indicators to it existing in fourth dynasty, should exist somewhere there within Giza. Seeking into the Giza archives of fourth dynasty finds, coming out from all previous discoverers, looking upon the long forgotten dusty bookshelves, search coming up empty there. A search began, seeking first through the museums and private collections.
In the Giza the Cairo Museum. You imagine I could walk around here for weeks, years. I've only got minutes left.
My search there, coming up empty too. No choice but to return to seeking out there on the ground. Giza, a virtual maze of dust and sand and ruins, still holding under the ground many hidden clues. Boots on the ground, and only way forwards from here. A slow and steady pace, making my way, leaving no stone unturned. Something was going to have to give. Unmoving always, it wouldn't be me. Seeking above the ground would next take seeking under the ground, doing that thing I do best, travelling where both angels and fools dare tread. Awful dark. Down I go, deep not under the ground. I'd recommend for the light-hearted. Poisonous snakes and scorpions about, deep dark crevices and holes underfoot, a dangerous place to dwell. In reconnecting the lost stories, reconnecting us all, days like this would often take pushing me to my fullest limits. Still time though, offering a blessing into those. A gentle touch from my hand, and original words, Wimalanda Bulla, from a great fire into the sky, breath, gifting all those ancestors upon the journey newer life, owning great faith in that promise Khufu made, that he who answers the riddle to the Sphinx, for he all the mysteries of Egypt would unfold itself, armed with the confidence in the communion she and I share. I'd be confident too. My answers would be found. Just taking a little bit more sacrifice yet. Don't give up. Khufu replied, back on the horse and let's take the trail back up. Dead ends come and go. It would be back to the drawing board first, where it was we'd first learned from Merizank, looking next door to her at Master Bar 7130 in the G Cemetery. Masterpar G7130, directly underneath the shade of the Great Khufu Pyramid. Master Bar of Khufu upon her horizon. Inside, the relative text of the day. Yusakef, Sahura, Kaku, the three names of the children, the babes born out from the Westcar Papyrus, sons of Rechetet. Mentioned there. Son. And Ankaf, his adopted father, not born to royal title. Khufu had extended to those her name, Khafre becoming Khufu Kaf, confusing Egyptology hereafter, confusing all but myself, carrying that ancient knowledge, gifted out from Australia's sacred Bambara. Arriving there to find entry blocked, a padlocked gate, a guard at the door. My continued search, no access allowed for the sarcophagus seen upon the Dream Stella, meeting one more speed bump in the road. An old proverb exists coming out from antiquity. When in Rome, do what Romans do. No, not charge. This stuff instead. Whipping my hand into my pocket, talking that international language. Buying myself there, some time, 3 minutes, all I had, with what I could afford. In and out, the guard was dismissed. A fast worker, 3 minutes would be all I was going to need. Looking up, snapping the shot, and there it was, a eureka moment at last. There she is, imaged on the wall of Khufu Kaf, the same image found there upon the Dream Stella between the paws of the Sphinx. Champollion attesting to Tutmosis, who wouldn't live for another 1200 years, ending that fickle theory as one more brick in the wall replaced, reconnecting Egypt's lost history, reinstating the Sphinx Dream Stella as a 4th dynasty artefact, as it always should have been.